Hi, I'm Dr. Linda Mintle. Hey, thanks for listening to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. Faith radio podcasts are only possible because of your support. Thanks for giving and for sharing with a friend.
Doing life together, reaching out with hope, encouraging one another, each step along the road. You and I can make everything a little better, doing life together.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. I'm your host, Dr. Linda Mintle, the relationship doctor, and I'm here along with my co-host, the other Dr. Mintle, my husband, Norm. And every weekend we're here, we're doing life together, and we're so glad you've joined us.
Did you know it's Father's Day weekend?
I did. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You know, not long ago we celebrated moms, and we have to give equal time.
That's
Please. Dads are just as important as moms. In fact, they do play a rather unique and special role in their children's lives, right?
That's right. And Norm, you are a terrific dad.
Thank you.
And you are loved by our two children. And I'm not just saying that for the show. This
Okay,
is
good. Okay.
Really from my heart. I can say it without any type of hesitation. We could not have raised two healthy children had we not worked together with you being present and intimately involved in their lives. So thank you for being a wonderful spiritual leader of our home and raising our children in such a powerful way.
You know, when you were saying that, it reminded me that while you were doing your doctoral work, we had an infant. And
Yeah.
I was home in the evenings and took care of him. And then while I was doing my doctoral work, a few years later, I'd come home from work all day. We would have dinner, play with the kids, help them with their homework, and then send them to bed, and I'd stay up and do my homework.
Yeah,
And,
like till 2 in the morning.
We found a way to balance life and make it work. Well, you know, we do have two amazing kids, and I love that, and I cherish them. And being their dad was worth any of those sacrifices, those many, many hours. It's our joy and privilege to parent them, and to do this with you. I wouldn't want to have done it with anybody else.
Yeah, so as we're talking about our dads, you can tell I have a lot of affection for my husband, but I also have a lot of affection for my dad as well. And so let's bring in one of the hardest things of all before we get into the real meat of this.
Oh,
Let's talk about the thing that makes us all crazy, Norm, when
the
Father's
kids
Day comes
especially,
around.
right?
You know, it's what do you get for dad on Father's Day? This is just not as easy, I'm going to say, for dads as it is for moms.
Because you don't want to get him flowers.
No, and candy and, spa
Well, I
treatments,
don't know,
all
candy
the
might
things.
work.
Candy might work, but in fact, we checked out the weirdest and worst Father's Day gifts from a website.
And we want to share this edifying list of weird and worst.
Because we don't want you to do this. We
That's
don't want
right.
you to buy these things. All right, the first one. Are you ready?
Yes.
It's called the blanket support.
A blanket. What's wrong with that?
Well, it's a metal device at the foot of the bed and the mattress that elevates your blanket at the feet, but allows you to keep it on the rest of your body.
I'm sorry, I don't get it.
Well, that's why it's a weird gift.
It is.
It's fitting the weird gift category here.
Here's one I don't want. Superman boxers. That's pretty
Or
weird.
any superhero,
Or
right? Yeah. All right, here's one. These are the weird gifts. The bottle opener T-shirt or
What?
baseball bat.
These are so weird I don't even get them. Okay, here's one. I love the Cubs, but a waffle machine that presses the logo of the Cubs into the waffles.
Well, some people
that-
might actually like that. I know someone who would love
We
that.
have a friend who, if we bought that for him, he would be so
Yeah,
delighted.
but it is a little bit of a weird gift. These are the weird gifts.
Okay.
Couch potato cross training.
What?
You strap a weight. Okay, you're going to love this. You strap a weight to the remote.
Control the remote control. Well, okay. Okay, I don't get this one either. The Big Bobber, floating cooler for drinks.
It goes in the pools.
Oh,
and
when you go-
stuff.
oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
or
yeah.
fishing,
So some
like-
people thought that was
okay,
weird.
okay.
Okay, I do think this one's really weird.
Okay.
Bacon bandages. They smell like bacon.
But everything goes better with bacon. I don't
Maybe
know.
bandages.
Oh, my.
We're not on that list.
Wow. Make your own hot sauce kit. Hey, wait a minute. I would like that one.
I know. That one was on the weird list, but I think that would be great for you.
Oh, that'd be perfect for me.
But I don't think you're going to want light up slippers. That made the list too. Or have you seen those giant tennis balls?
Yes. What do you do with them?
I don't know. I've only seen, tennis players sign them at matches, but I don't know what you do.
Okay, here's one on the list. Please promise me you will never get me. A garden gnome. But in this case, a personalized garden gnome. I don't want either one.
And I didn't think the last one that we're going to talk about was that weird. It was personalized M&Ms, but it is a little over the top,
Well,
right?
I don't care for M&Ms, so for
know.
me that would be. Okay, those might be odd, but these are the worst. This is the worst gift list, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Anything that has the words "World's Greatest Dads."
T-shirts, mugs, on and on and on.
You got it.
All right. But here's one that grossed me out. Cologne, barbecue smell.
Oh my gosh, barbecue cologne. Didn't even know there was such a thing. Okay, visor with hair on it.
Wait a minute. You mean like
I would
mullet hair hanging out the back?
the front.
The front.
Visor. It could be the back and the front. So like in your case, you're bald on the front, so you'd have the hair on the front. I know, these are the things not to get, right?
These are the worst gifts. Okay, hygiene products like nose hair clippers. Well, some people may need that.
But let's not do it for Father's Day. I think
Okay.
that's it. How about useless gadgets like a strawberry slicer or something
Right.
you're going to use it once or
Right.
never.
I don't
right?
want that. Thank you very much. A barbecue apron? I don't know what's wrong with
I
that.
don't think that was so bad. And then a man bag.
What's that?
Oh, it's like a purse for a guy. But a lot of guys have these pouches now and the Lululemon kind of things. So I don't know that that's the worst thing. Well, thankfully, we have better ideas.
Oh,
okay,
good.
now we're going to give some good
Oh,
ideas.
good. Okay.
All right, here's a good one, I think.
Okay.
The elimination of a chore is a wonderful gift. So just take on something and say, I'll do it for a month or a day or a week or something.
So
Yes.
if my kid will drive 800 miles to come and mow the lawn, that would be a great gift.
But when they were close to us, mowing the lawn could have been good.
A piece of technology that's actually useful. Oh, I'd like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dad actually wants it and doesn't already have it.
Yeah, so you got to check on that, right? Now, this one is interesting, a smart jump rope. So they actually counts and lights up like a Fitbit. So it can kind of help you with exercise. Would you use it?
It could be depressing.
Would you use it, though?
No.
Oh, okay. So maybe it would
I
make
don't jump
our
rope.
better idea.
My knees
But
are
yeah,
too
that's
cranky.
true. You got to think of the age of your
That's
father,
right.
maybe
Thank
when
you
you
very
do that
much.
one.
Here's one, a leather folder or a wallet if it's needed, but I don't know. That's pretty personal. I like to pick my own.
A lot of people
There's
do.
certain things I want to
know.
choose, right?
But you can always use a nice leather wallet. And you could keep the receipt. and
Your
things
dad
like that.
always wanted one, and he
always
called it
wanted one.
a bill folder.
He did. That's a German name.
I'll bet
I
that
think.
was a literal translation.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a German thing. Nice sunglasses. Again, you might want to be involved in choosing those,
Yeah.
but maybe the kids could pay for it.
Right.
Something like that.
Now, this is a good one. It's a book that he wants. And I can always tell anybody in my family what book I'd like to get because I'm always buying books.
Yeah, and a great devotional.
Oh,
So
that's
I
a
think
good one.
the devotionals are good.
I think it's important just to find some way to celebrate and honor your dad. Gift giving is one way, but what's the honor part? Why is that so important?
Well, we know it's one of the 10 Commandments, right? So if we look at Exodus 20:12, it says, honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. So interestingly, that is the only commandment with a promise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tied to living long. That's a good thing,
That's
right?
a good thing.
I can use my dad as an example of this, Norm. He was extremely honoring of his parents.
Yes, he was.
Both his father and his mother. And look, he lived to almost 98.
Mm-hmm.
So I think,
He fulfilled that promise.
He did. And he looked after their needs. He was so attentive. And he was really attentive to my grandmother when my grandfather passed away and she was alone. He modeled to us how to care for elderly parents.
Right. And set a standard for you that you live by while your parents were alive.
That's right.
It seems to me, though, that our culture has been diminishing Dad's role for years in the media. I mean, think about all the sitcoms. Dad's the dummy. He's the dolt. Everybody makes fun of him. His role has changed drastically since, remember, Father Knows Best? Well, Father doesn't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? What do you think? Why does the media so enjoy degrading dads?
I mean, don't you think it's just an attempt to sort of have a non-traditional family and to just make it sound like you can just do whatever you want to do and it really doesn't have an impact.
That could be, but it's just so demeaning, and it after a while it stops being funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it really does undermine the importance of fathers
Right.
in a
Right.
child's life.
And I suppose if there aren't fathers present, you want to try and normalize that. So, right. You know, I read that a sociologist who researches fathers and fatherhood said fathers are far more than just second adults in the home. He went on to say, involved fathers bring positive benefits to their children that no other person is likely to bring. What did he mean?
Well, I can speak from my own experience, and I think this is true, and this is why fathers are not just an add-on. You know, my dad brought security into my life. He brought stability into our family life. He was always there, so his presence was very powerful in so many ways. You know, he helped me review my homework. He attended all our school functions. Academically, I always wanted to make him proud because I knew that was really important to him. And he was a really big influence on my education because he valued it so much. I mean, Norm, what kind of impact did your dad have on you?
Well, before I answer that, I remember you saying one time that because you were in a lot of plays in high school, that he would run lines with you.
He would. He had no drama.
He had no idea what
background, but he would run the lines, and we'd do all the memorizing, and he would help me with that. Yeah,
That's
it was great.
Well, my parents were missionaries, and my dad traveled so much. And I remember going with him on a trip one time up through the back mountains of Honduras in an old Willys Jeep. We had to go all day long. We drove to a village, finally got there. My dad preached. We hadn't eaten all day. And the pastor and his family killed their only chicken that night and prepared soup for us so that we could have food. So I saw my father, and I saw his heart, the way he reached out to people in this third world country to win them to Jesus and to disciple them. And that love for people and evangelism has certainly stuck with me.
You and I could just give all kinds of stories about the importance of fathers, but we're going to talk more about that after the break, and we're going to go into this in more detail, what you can do and why fathers are so important in our life. So stay with us as we take this short break. We'll return in just a moment to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. Well, the other day I was cut off the road by a driver. Everything in me wanted to yell, "Hey, watch out!" But I restrained myself, knowing that yelling at the driver would not do so much good, and it wasn't the best way to deal with my anger. Anger easily rises up in most of us. Anger, while a natural emotion, needs to be dealt with in the right way. The Bible tells us, "Be angry, but do not sin." So what is the biblical way to handle anger? Well, this is a question I answer in my short and easy book to read, Breaking Free from Anger and Unforgiveness. So if you want to be angry but not sin, practice what Scripture teaches. Breaking Free from Anger and Unforgiveness is available on my website and online where books are sold.
Welcome back to the Dr. Linda Mintle Show, and happy Father's Day for all you dads. That's our topic today, the importance of fathers. And we have a whole lot more to talk about. But before we do that, I want to remind you to check out Dr. Linda's website, the drlindamintle.com website. It's drlindamintle.com. That's where you'll find her blogs, her books. You can connect with her on social media. You can connect with our podcast, which we urge you to listen to anytime, anywhere. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform, or you can go to myfaithradio.com.
And you can share it with other people
Please
as well.
do, especially with your dad.
That's right. Or maybe your siblings.
Oh,
getting ready for the
Yes.
Father's
there
Day.
you go. Yeah,
weekend.
yeah. Oh, by the way, it's Father's Day. Don't forget
Yeah,
to send
that's
Dad.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
The weekend is here.
So, in the big scope of life, Linda, why are dads so important?
I mean, they just serve such an important role in every single family. And I am concerned about the cultural message that we were talking about, that they're just not that important. So minimizing their important, Norm, is really a bad thing, because fathers are responsible in a large part for growing a strong family. They impact the psychological, the academic, and the overall well-being of children. So they play a very different role than mothers do, and you have to have both in a family for families to get strong.
One of the basic needs we all have is the need for safety. How do fathers impact that?
Well, the presence of a father in the home is a protective factor. So it's tied to lower rates of maltreatment if the father's not abusive. Now, I recognize as we're talking about this that there are people listening who said, well, my father was abusive.
Right.
And could be a whole bunch of different ways. Right. But when a father is not, and he is there as the family protector, it makes such a difference for the children because they feel safe. I mean, there are times when I get scared at night and I want you to take care of it. Right. I don't know what that is because I'm pretty independent, but there's something about that where I feel like, I think because you're bigger, you're stronger than I am. And I know you don't know how to use a gun because neither of us do, but it just feels better to have that presence around us.
Yeah, it's the you get up and look.
Yeah, yeah. And, unrelated male figures and stepfathers in households do tend to be more abusive than biological fathers and married fathers. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
So that is something when you have a boyfriend around or, a stepfather is in there, those are not your bio kids. And I don't mean that if you're an adoptive father, I put you right in the category with bio fathers. But, these extraneous men who are somehow in the picture.
Coming and going.
Yeah, that is related to abuse. And
that's not stability.
Right.
Okay.
And then the quality of the relationship between the mother and father has a really important indirect effect on keeping that maltreatment or that abuse away too. So if a mother and father are not getting along well, that can be problematic. But when you have a dad and a mom who do get along well and have a good relationship, that brings a lot of safety and security in a family as well.
So then it must be true that fathers who love their wives make better dads. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, the quality of the marriage matters not only in just preventing abuse, that's what I was talking about, preventing abuse, but also in terms of psychological and emotional health. So fathers with good relationships with a mother are more likely to be involved and to spend time with their children. So, probably makes kind of sense. You want to be around the family, right? You have a good relationship with the mom, you want to hang out. And moms are influenced to be better moms when dads are happy in the marriage. So here's the key. Keeping your marriage strong helps your children thrive. It's really a win-win.
Right. I like that.
Well, in contrast, Norm, the research shows that husbands who display anger, who show contempt for, or who stonewall their wives, that's when you give your wife the silent treatment, they're more likely to have children who are anxious, withdrawn, or even antisocial.
Parenting is important, but the role of fathers, what you're saying, is really crucial in many of these areas. You mentioned your dad and how he wanted all his kids to go to college. I know he immigrated to this country and had to work on a farm to help his parents. So education was clearly the way he saw that you could have a better life. What effect do fathers typically have on their children's education?
Well, children with involved caring fathers have just better educational outcomes. There's a whole bunch of research that shows that if your dad's involved, if he's going to talk to you, he's going to be in your life, you're going to do better academically. And a number of studies suggest that fathers who are involved in nurturing and play, even with their infants, have children with higher IQs as well as better linguistic and cognitive capacities.
Wow.
So you know how much you were interacting with our babies and talking to them and mirroring, mood and all that kind of stuff. It actually helps their IQ develop better. Wow. So you think about kids.
No wonder I have genius children.
But you think about all these kids that were left alone and nobody interacts and they're given a device. It's just not going to develop those capacities. And also numerous studies find that an active and nurturing style of fathering is associated with better verbal skills. And then that intellectual functioning that we talk about and the academic achievement in teenagers.
Wow. We talked about fathers and security, but what about emotional security?
Even just from birth, children who have an involved father are more likely to be emotionally secure. And this is related to attachment, where we talk about being attached, have attunement with your children. And when you are attached and attuned to your kids from infancy on, then they are confident to explore their surroundings. And as they get older, they have better social connections with their peers, and those children are less likely to get in trouble at home, school, or even in the neighborhood.
I'm imagining that fathers have some responsibility for pushing their children. especially toward independence. I remember that you were a little more reluctant to get them to try new things, and I was constantly pushing them. Do that, try that, explore that.
Yeah, I know. And I was always a little bit anxious about it because you were pushing them out there more. And I needed you to do that because I had this need to kind of keep them
Mother
safe.
and protect them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mother hen thing.
Yeah. So generally speaking, fathers also tend to promote that independence and an orientation to that outside world. Fathers do push achievement, and it's just like what happened in you and I. You know, I was more on the nurturing side of that. Not that you weren't nurturing, so I don't want to make it
No.
sound like it's an all or nothing. But you have to have the pushing, independence, and the nurturing together for healthy development. And so when children grow up in that type of situation, they're going to be more comfortable going out, exploring the world around them, and they're more likely to exhibit self-control and what we call pro-social behavior.
What about playing? I know dads often roughhouse more than moms do.
Yeah, they spent a higher percentage on their one-on-one interactions with infants and preschoolers in stimulating that playful activity than moms do. So throwing them in the air, all the things that I would watch you do. And from all of that, the children learn how to regulate their feelings and behavior. So we weren't thinking of that consciously.
No.
I'm now helping my child regulate their feelings and
Right,
behavior.
exactly.
But all that roughhousing with dad can teach children how to deal with aggressive feelings and physical contact without losing that emotional regulation. So that's really important.
You were saying that, and I was trying to remember. I don't ever remember seeing you throw one of our kids up into the air and catch them. But I did it all the time. It was just a natural thing to do. And I know you have something to say about a child's mental health as it relates to dads.
Yeah, so one study of school-age children found that children who had good relationships with their fathers were less likely to experience depression, and they weren't as likely to be disruptive or to even lie.
That is fascinating. It also appears obvious that families really need dads to be involved and active with their children in many ways. But if you don't have a dad, we recognize that today, who is present or one who isn't so great, then what?
Well, it's really interesting that boys particularly seem to be hurt by the absence of a dad. Now, girls are too in a different way, but this is the role model for the boy. And, I think what happens with girls is sometimes they unconsciously select men who have problems with intimacy when they don't have a dad around. But given all the single parenting that we see in our culture today, I just want to say to a single parent, there's hope. Single moms with the help of the church can raise really strong children. But they need help.
Yeah, and it really does take a village.
It does.
So it seems that one of the ways churches can help is to have a single mom's ministry, and many do. I know they provide childcare and meals for kids at the meetings, and many times single parents can't get home from work in time to pick up a child and feed them before a church meeting. So what a wonderful thing to be able to have your child fed when you take them to church.
Yeah, and it was interesting because Katie, our technical producer, was saying, yeah, but what about single dads too when they don't have the mom in there? We're focusing right now on the absence of the dads, but we have to always be thinking about these ministries to reach out to both, right?
That's right.
So it's a really great point. And, when you see families who, don't have fathers in them, it does help them to come into church and to see some strong leaders and to see other male leaders in the church. And men in the church can be role models, and they can be involved in the lives of children that don't have their fathers present. You can invite them to join your children in activities and play games and develop relationships with them.
So as we close, talk about families who had bad dads, and that's unfortunate and sad.
Well, if you're estranged and you're angry, and there might be legitimate reasons for this, so we're not saying that, and you're just not talking with your father, I would encourage you to think of some positive moment, even if it's 1 or 2 moments that you had with your dad, and try to honor him in whatever way you can this Father's Day weekend. You don't have to pretend the relationship is good, but it will help to remember something good about your dad. And maybe there was a moment you shared that you can really pick up on, and it was wonderful. Then the rest of the year, we want to encourage you to work on repairing the damage and reconciliation if that is possible, because we're talking about how important dads are in our lives. So if you can work through the hurts, if you can forgive, you can extend grace. Maybe you need to make the first move this Father's Day. pray and ask God for a crack in the wall that has built up around you. Be safe about it, but prayer is powerful. Work on your heart and pray that God will work on his. So as we're out of time here now, Norm, I want to just say Happy Father's Day to
Thank you.
all the fathers this Father's Day weekend. Well, that's all the time we do have for today. Many thanks to my co-host and the father of our children, Norm Mental, who makes the show a conversation, and to our technical producer, Katie Sims-Wilson. From all of us here at Faith Radio, hey, we'll talk to you again next weekend. In the meantime, remember, we're doing life together, mothers and fathers, and with our audience.
Yes.
And it's better when you don't have to do it alone.
Doing life together.
Hey, thanks for listening to this conversation from the Dr. Linda Mintle Show. These conversations are available because of your support. Become a supporter now at myfaithradio.com. Please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes and share it with friends so we can live life to the fullest, walk confidently, and find healing and hope.